Well, an update on the power supply to the layout. I've had to revisit the powering of the layout issue. I originally had two power boards, one here with some transformers and boosters, and one at the other end of the layout. The idea being that they'd be supplied by two different wall sockets to even the load. But that may have introduced what I think is called a ground loop. Anyway, I was having some data issues. So I've now decided to put all the boosters and transformers, all power dish, into one area powered by one wall socket to avoid any chance of what they call a ground loop, which can cause issues with data lines. So this is a new setup. There's some space, more space also for extra boosters and transformers. I now have here the basic setup, which is this is the main booster converter that can supply about 70 watts to the layout, and it's connected via the parallel and serial lines to the computer for the data transfer with its own power supply. It supplies the overhead wires. The other boosters or power districts are powered separately, of course, but they need a data connection, and the data connection here is through what's called a CDE data bus, 3 wires, which is taken down, fed into a converter, which transforms the CDE 3-wire bus into a 5-wire bus, which is used by the rest of the boosters. This type of booster, the first one being a Litvinsky. The converter is also from Litvinsky, but a Litvinsky booster which can supply about 40 watts. It'll do 5 hours as shown here, area, and at the moment it's doing layer 2 as well. It's connected via a bus with another booster transformer combination for another 50 or 60 watts, and this will power layer 2, the central station area, or possibly even layer 3. Then I have a third booster, small booster, which powers all the decoder wires, and it has its own transformer. So this powers all the decoders through a separate data bus for hopefully a clean signal. And I have other transformers and boosters which I can add to the layout as needed for power requirements. The transformers here supply 16 volts basically to the boosters, and there's one 20-volt connection which powers the decoder, the solenoids, for a little bit of extra oomph for the mechanical solenoids being used. So that's the power setup as it will be used from now on. The board is in a temporary location here until I find a permanent location under one of the baseboards, probably over the left here somewhere. The loco motors now seem to be reacting as expected, so I've got a couple of little shunting locomotives on the layout at the moment, and we can just start one up. So they're now at least responding as expected. So you learn something every time. If it doesn't work, before you go too much further on layout issues, Make sure you test every small step that you make. Like I'm going to test this level of layout also with the software before I build further, so that you can build on each tested part of the layout as you continue. If you try to do it all in one go, you may find too many errors and have to redo some work. So that's the update, brief update this time. As part of the total update is the repowering of the entire layout, now using a single power board with all the transformers and boosters and electronics in one neat location to be powered from the software.